Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Bonnie Rose. It's wonderful to see you here today. Let us start our celebration service by standing up and singing together our congregational song. Let us breathe into that spaciousness as we open our ears and our hearts and our minds and our beings to savor once again the words of our sacred reading.
From Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth. You must open up to a giving consciousness in order to sustain the flow of good into your life. A giving consciousness may show up in many different ways, but the important thing is to think give. Say to yourself, I will think give today. I will think give every day of my life. The law is clear. It promises think give and you will receive. It is a fundamental key of finding prosperity. When you discover the wonder of giving, you will wonder how you could have lived so long in any other way. It is the key that makes truth work, that opens the door to the good you have been seeking, and that gives life that added glow. It can be one of the great discoveries of your life. When you become a committed giver, you can no more go back to the old way of living than you can go back to life in prehistoric times. There is a new world awaiting you, and a new level of life that can open to you, and a new experience of the dynamism of truth. Discover the wonder of giving. It is the better way. And the day will come when you will insist that it is the only way. And so it is.
And so it is. And so let us move into that wonder of giving the consciousness to ourselves of divine remembering the truth of love that lives and moves and has its perfect being through each of us, that this truth goes by many names. But this morning we call it the I Am Presence. We sing together, I am remembering who I am. And as we do, we know the truth about ourselves individually and collectively as we sit together in this sacred space. But as we know it for ourselves and for one another, we also reach out and know it for the entire universe. With our song, we bless all beings as we remember. We circulate that remembrance within us, knowing that there is no inner and no outer. Then we open our eyes, circulating, in love with what is, as it is, and so it is. Thank you. Well. Well, good morning, everybody. It's great to see you here again this Sunday morning on this kind of chilly day. What happened? A little chilly. Gosh, I don't know where to start, but I guess I'll start by telling you that it sounds a little braggy to me, but life has been really good for me lately. Okay, yeah, I know. Just ridiculously happy, and I don't think it's the caffeine. I don't usually drink caffeine. And also it feels like I'm moving from miracle to miracle. And I share this with you because I am as ordinary or as extraordinary as anybody sitting here in this sacred sanctuary. And I know if that can happen for me, it can happen for everybody here. So I'd like to share with you what I think the secret of this expansive happiness and joy and miraculous nature is that I seem to be feeling right now. Many of you know the movie The Secret, right? That movie, and the premise of The Secret is that you change your thinking to be able to manifest what you want in your life. One of the challenges with that movie, and let me first of all say that movie did a lot for our movement, for the religious science of mind movement, and for our center, and a lot of people really like that philosophy, and it is important to know that yes, sometimes you can change your thinking and you can manifest something great. But there's a subtle implication in that movie, which is, I need this thing outside of me to come into me to complete me. What I prefer is what I would say a secret beyond the secret, which is, I am already complete. Because I am that I am. I am that presence of God that we sing about when we sing, I am remembering who I am, what I am. So I am already complete, and I manifest miracles and greatness as I am willing to share my completeness with the world and help others realize their completeness. It is no longer for me about what can I get. It is now much more about how can I serve in the situation. And when we ask, how can I serve, that is pretty much signing on the dotted line, consenting to miracles. You know, the definition of miracles changes. It's no longer necessarily literally parting the Red Sea or some of the other miracles we've heard about, but metaphorically it is, actually. That's a whole other topic. But the definition of miracles changes for us, for me, when I can, at the end of the day, say, wow, I found many opportunities to serve today, and I got to circulate, to give and receive that which is priceless. You see, and that's the thing. A lot of us are sometimes resistant to messages, perhaps even readings about giving, saying churches and whatnot, spiritual teachers saying we have to give, we have to give, we have to give in order to receive. And some people feel like, well, I don't have anything left to give. A, I'm not feeling really prosperous financially right now. B, I'm working really hard. I'm spent. I am exhausted. I am depleted. But the truth is, and if anybody is struggling with any of that, or even if you're not struggling with any of that, this truth applies universally. We are all working with multiple forms of capital, multiple forms of currency. And our task, our consent to miracles, involves looking at the infinite forms of currency that we have available to us and then spending that wastefully, spending it liberally, spending it all over the place. When you came in this morning, you've already engaged multiple forms of currency. Perhaps you got a hug from our greeters, Jonna and Dave. That's a form of currency. That's friendship. When I had you say hello to one another and shake hands, maybe there was some words of appreciation. That's a form of currency. So we're constantly looking. Our radar is out for multiple forms of currency, some of which is money, some of which is time, some of which are some of the things we struggle with, because it's always great to go beyond our comfort zone. But there are infinite numbers of types of currency that we can spend, and again, we spend it wastefully. That, to me, is the secret to happiness and moving from miracle to miracle. I woke up at 2 a.m., like I pretty much do every night. And I'm usually pretty happy because I get to goof around and do a bunch of fun stuff, like, watch Hulu or play Candy Crush or what have you. But this time I woke up with this thought in my head, and I wrote it down because I'm still getting this. I'm still trying to internalize this idea of multiple forms of currency and how we create happiness that is amazing, happiness beyond what I even thought was possible, happiness that is priceless. And so I wrote this down. I hope it still makes sense. Bear with me. It was written at 2 a.m. as I staggered to my office and wrote it down without my bifocals on. So it says, Part of creating miracles, part of abundance, part of prosperity, part of moving from miracle to miracle is our consent to miracles. And this means recognizing that you have something to offer always, in every moment. This is true for us when we engage multiple forms of currency. Our supply of currency is infinite. If you start spending it, you will see it grow into its true infinite nature. And the way to spend it is to unabashedly offer your currencies in service of others. This is priceless. This is a secret to abundance. This is an active consent to miracles. Now, I'm going to write that down and post it someplace. I'll put it on the group page or one of our many Facebook pages or on my blog or something like that in case you want to have it, or you can listen to me when Ed is working in the currency of videography. You can listen on YouTube and get that again if that meant something to you. But it means something to me because to me, again, this is the key to our happiness. This is the key to a life that moves from miracle to miracle. And that's what I want for all of you because you all deserve it. Hello, look at yourselves. Look at one another. You all deserve it. You all deserve to have that great life. I see people actually looking at each other. This is a beautiful thing. It's the currency of recognition. Yes. So one of the places that I really got grounded in this idea of multiple forms of currency was in India, and specifically I'm going to speak about the making of the little hearts, because today is Heartfelt Sunday, Heartfelt Abundance Sunday. And I know a lot of you have seen the hearts. A lot of people around the church wear them, and we give them to our newcomers. If they want someone to talk to them, they get a heart. Of course, a lot of people have hearts, so just talk to somebody who's wearing a heart, okay? And we'll get that covered. But, one of the beautiful things about these hearts that we have displayed here to tempt you all to coming to the Good Friday service is that they were actually born out of adversity. The place where I stayed is the state of Gujarat in India, and Gujarat is heavily influenced by Gandhi, and as such, it is a dry state, meaning that there is no alcohol allowed. Okay? Now, you know how it is when something is illicit and it's not allowed? Anybody ever here really enjoy something because it was not allowed? Raise your hands, please. No. Yeah. I didn't see that hand go up. Yeah, oh, okay. A little bit, yeah. Yeah. So it's supposed to be a dry state, but there is alcoholism, and particularly alcoholism in the slums of India. India also has much more of a patriarchal system in place than certain other places, at least in this particular state there was. So the women in the slums, the wives in the slums, had husbands that were drinking their money away, and at the same time, the women were not allowed to work outside of the home. So, look at this. We could just slap those men and tell them to stop drinking, or we could divorce those men and get them out of the way. But whoever came up with this idea must have known something intuitively about the third force, which is the reconciliation of opposite, conflicting ideas, right? So they held the dynamic tension of the men who were drinking away the money and alcoholism and patriarchy, and they held the desire for these women to have a bigger life, to have dignity, and to have something to do, and to have a way of earning an income. And they were not allowed to work outside of the home, so what do? And so somebody came up with the idea of getting material from clothing, used clothing, and stitching these hearts. And since that time, these hearts have gone all over the world. And they offer them for free. You give a donation. I give a donation when I get them. You can get them for free if you want, but I always give a donation because I feel like my donation helps more women get out of that situation and stitch more hearts. So when I was in India, we worked in the currency of hearts. We worked in the currency of stitching, where every stitch mattered. Every stitch mattered. Everything, every stitch that you make is a form of exercising your currency. And so the heart ladies came and taught us how to make the hearts. And I shared with you when I first got back how they were not impressed with my sewing skills. And they didn't speak any English, so I would show them something and they'd go, huh. It's really encouraging. You'll see if you come on Good Friday, it's not quite as easy as it looks, but you get better. By your third heart, you're usually doing pretty well, okay? So, and some of them, you know, I also want to tell you that we're not excluding other parts of the body. Like somebody made like a pancreas the other day, I think. Let me offer this pancreas to you to show you that I love you. Yeah, some popping. So when the women from this particular organization, it's called Wisdom Crafts, came and showed us how to make their hearts. Nobody spoke English. A lot of them were quite young. And after we were complete, and I had made my 3 hearts, and I got progressively better with each one, I wanted to say something to them. And whenever I wanted to say something meaningful to one of the natives there, I would bring a translator with me. And so I got Nipun to come with me. And I stood in front of this woman, this young woman who was about 25, who probably had a situation where she had a challenging life living in the slums with possibly an alcoholic husband, and had moved into this role where she could create something using the currency of her skill and her wisdom and her generosity, right? And I said to her, I just want you to know, and this is all getting translated, I want you to know that your being here, your taking time from your busy day has meant so much to me. These hearts are beautiful, and you have a beautiful soul for making these hearts, and I so appreciate that in you. And more than that, what you may not know is that I bring these hearts to my church, and I bring the skills of how to make these hearts in your church. So the hearts that you made are going all the way around the world because I have a congregation that likes to wear them, and I also have a congregation that likes to go on the Wisdom Crafts site and order hearts. So our hearts have gone to the people that are digging out muddy homes in Montecito, and our hearts have gone to Starbucks, and our hearts have gone all over the place, and that is because of you. And the look on her face. And you see how easy that was. That was the currency of appreciation. That was priceless. And it was so simple to say those words with a translator and change her moment, her life in that moment. And the funny thing is, too, is that, you know, she is probably, I don't know, but she's probably not going to be somebody who wins an Academy Award or a Nobel Peace Prize. And I was thinking about that because one of my closest one of the persons that I bonded with the most was actually a Nobel laureate, and yet his Nobel Peace Prize had nothing to do with my bonding with him. I bonded with him because he was sassy and irreverent. I sat down next to him on the bus and I said, dude, these people are super nice. I need somebody to give me a little balance here. You're sassy and irreverent, right? We got to stick together. Yeah. So there is currency of sass and irreverence. And that works too, depending on who you are and what you like. So the intention is to think of that story that I told about the woman making the hearts and what I said to her, and how can you apply that in your own lives? How can you express the currency of appreciation? How can you express the idea that the little steps that people make in your life matter? How can you express the idea that every little metaphorical stitch that you make in your life makes a difference and goes around the world and ripples out and affects somebody and changes somebody's life for good? Even though you may not ever see the results, we are planting seeds, nothing more, right? That happens to be our song after this. There will be times when you don't want to do it. I encounter that a lot. And what I have learned from teaching the spiritual economics class is that there is this thing called a successful failure. When you fail to circulate currency, celebrate it. Celebrate it if it gives you insight. The other day I was walking around in some parking lot and I had 2 dog leashes around my neck because I had just come from hiking with my dogs. I think I was in like the Sears parking lot or something. And this man was holding a small dog and he was there with his child and he looked really busy and he said to the kid, you know, I'm sorry, I have to hold the dog until I get into the store and then we can buy a leash and then we can walk her. And I'm like, Bonnie, you've got 2 dog leashes around your neck. You've got 20 dog leashes at home. Dogs are very well dressed, you know. And it's like, just give him your dog leash. Just give him one of your leashes. And I stopped myself. And I had to look at that and say, why did I stop myself? It's not that I was so attached to that particular dog leash. It's that I didn't want that moment of connection because it felt too intimate and too vulnerable. It felt like I would be invading his space and maybe he wouldn't like it or I would feel like he would want more or whatever. You know, I think of that. I'm always talking about what does the V means, right? The common joke is the V is for Ventura. Right now I'm saying it's a vortex of ventricles going viral. But maybe it stands for a vortex of vulnerability. And I don't have a V word for this, but the willingness to be intimate with a stranger, to be emotionally intimate with a stranger and what that can bring. And so because I had that moment, even that was a good thing. I had that moment where I recognized where I was unwilling to be vulnerable and unwilling to be intimate. And then the next idea that I had was to give a bunch of these hearts to the baristas at the Starbucks where I go. They know my fake name. Does anybody here have a Starbucks name? I have a Starbucks name because people struggle with Bonnie, so they call me Rose. So they know my fake name, and they know my order. They know my order, and I feel seen by the people at Starbucks. It's amazing. So I gave each employee a heart, but the more important thing was I wrote a note with it and wrote to them how sweet it is for me to come into Starbucks and have people know my name and feel seen, and how these hearts are made by people in India, and that they embody the qualities that these women in India embody, such as dignity, kindness, service. I say, I see that in all of you, and when you wear these hearts, that'll be a reminder that you too have these qualities. And it was so scary to give them to them because I thought, oh crap! Now I'm sorry. Now when I go into Starbucks, they're gonna like want to talk to me and stuff and blah blah blah. And I was like, I want my wall up, but I did it anyway. And I got to tell you, it's super fun to go into Starbucks and have people want to talk to you and know more about you. And the best thing happened. Last week when I was driving to church, and before church, even though I love my job and I love being here, I have to give myself a little pre-ward to, get through the morning. So I go to Starbucks on my way to church. You get that? Pre-ward as opposed to reward. I do get a reward after church too. But my pre-ward is to go to Starbucks. And I went to Starbucks, and I was there, and somebody recognized my order, because they all know it really well. And a woman wearing a heart came up to me, and she said, oh, thank you so much. I've been to India. I really, really love the heart. And I said, I want to take your picture, because I'm going to send it to the women in India so they can know that their hearts are going around the world and making a difference. And I said to this guy who was filling my order, I said, you get in there too. And he said, I'm not wearing a heart. And I said to him, yes, but you're wearing a gay pride pin. And that matters to me just as much. And so he was seen, and he was acknowledged, and she was seen, and she was acknowledged. And that picture is going to go halfway around the world to Ahmedabad, India, and bless the women who made the hearts, and they'll know that their lives are making a difference. You see how powerful that is? You see how wonderful that is? So I hope you're making a list and checking it twice of all the ways that you're going to circulate. And again, it does not require a lot of money. It does require a little bit of time, I've noticed, but it's time well spent. It is time well spent. You know, that time will bless you in ways that are priceless and uncountable and infinite. Again, one of the beautiful things to remember is that this birth of miracles and this birth of greater connectivity and the birth of the priceless often comes from something that seems like the opposite of it. It often comes from something that feels like adversity. We struggle with feeling like we mean enough, like our lives are significant, like our lives are making a difference in a world that clearly seems to be troubled at times. but often that adversity exists to get us to awaken. It's, as I say in my classes often, it's not really the law of attraction, it is the law of awakening to recognize the wholeness that is embedded in every single situation. You know, the situation that I described in the slums with the alcoholic husbands and the women not being allowed to work, that was adversity that led to something beautiful. In our own center, you know, we have a beautifully constructed center and a lot of good happening here, and yet there are still things that come up that are challenging. A few weeks ago, I talked about how there's this sort of dearth of youngish people, and well, I won't go into the whole story. I use the word decrepit fossils, and I don't really want to use that word again. But, you know, so some of us have been talking about how to invite younger people into the center. And we actually have 2 youth leaders, and I did not tell them I was going to say their names, but I am, because they're both here today, that are brainstorming on ways to develop a young adult ministry. One is Jennifer Luce, who's in the back, and the other is Karina, who is right there. And they're young, and they're not decrepit fossils like me. And they're beautiful, and they have a ton of ideas. But I'm also doing research too, and so the other day I got together, and again, I met this person through adversity, through something very tragic. I met the chaplain at UCSB. And so I met with him, when I connected with him at this challenging situation, I met with him and invited him to come to the center, and he immediately agreed. He said he wanted to see this place, and he wanted to talk to me. And I was going to pick his brain about talking about all kinds of ways to invite more youth and younger people into the center. I ended up telling him actually all about what we're doing with the Hearts and with the Kindness program and with the supplies that we're collecting for people without homes. And then he started telling me his ideas about attracting young people into the center. He has a mission church up in Santa Barbara where he said he started with about 12 elderly people, and now he has about 100 young people, plus the 12 elderly people. So it's all embraced. It's all wonderful. He said one of the things that he does is he has a surfing and spirituality ministry, which I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds great. That sounds really good. Another thing, because we probably have some surfers here. Anybody here surf, right? Yeah, okay. Oh, look. Ooh, surfers. Okay. How old are you? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's okay. We can have some, never mind. I'm just not going to say that word again. And then another thing he said, he has similar challenges with the homeless population. It's in Santa Barbara, so there are a lot of homeless folks there. And he said that one of the ways that he decided to address some of the challenges that we have shared here openly in the center is that he has created a composting toilet on his property. I said, ixnay on the composting toilet, Kay. Well, then when I thought about it, we could do a little Mayan structure, and if somebody who was really, if somebody who was really into composting K, such as Ormney, wanted to take care of it, that might not be a bad idea. But anyway, we talked about that a little bit, and he actually recommended not doing that because he said it is a ton of work and it all falls on him. But then, we talked about other ideas, and it was just about time to go. It was 5 minutes before he had to leave, and we were starting to wrap things up, and he said, oh yeah, and I forgot to tell you, we have this other thing that we do at our church. It seems like it's really grown the community and connected people really well. We have a bunny garden. And I was like, a bunny garden? Shut up, you do not have bunnies. It's like, no, seriously, we have bunnies. I'm like, yeah, I know, Vicki. Yeah, I had to clarify, is it bunny club? That's why you have all those teenage boys come? No, I'm kidding. No. A bunny garden with rabbits with long ears and little tails hopping around in this bunny paradise that he has created for them with tubes and tunnels, and they can go up levels and be at eye level with the people that want to watch them. And the kids take care of them, and he has a rotation of college students that come in and take care of them. So I ask you people, in the name of sweet Jesus and sweet Buddha and sweet Rumi, and whoever else I may have left out, Krishna. If we had bunnies, would you help us take care of them? Please raise your hand if you would. Okay, so we want bunnies. Okay, I have not, I haven't, I haven't told the board yet, but anyway, I think I just did. So, there's some research to be done. Will the bunnies be safe? Will the bunnies be warm? Will the bunnies be well taken care of? But I'm seriously looking into a bunny garden. And you never know where that good can go because the thing I know about bunnies, my husband and I have had bunnies forever, and bunnies multiply. Yeah. And these bunnies will not be able to multiply because we'll do a little toot toot with their, their little garbanzo beans. We'll get those away. But there is something about having bunnies on the property that multiplies good. And we can pray with the bunnies. We can worship at the God of the bunnies and know that the good of this center and the good that we can do in the world, because we are redefining miracles, aren't we? Miracles are not how much good comes to us. It's how much can we serve? How much good can we put out into the world? How much good can we be? How much good can we share? How much good can we serve? How much good can we distribute widely? And I think the bunnies will help us. So I am pro-bunny. Yes. Thank you. So, I have heard over the years, this is such interesting feedback that I get from people sometimes, is that, first of all, I hear that I'm too lewd, and I agree, okay? But other than that, I hear, your church really isn't really into activism. You don't really do anything for social justice, and you don't really help people. And, okay, and and to that I say, oh my goodness, we are beyond that. We are helping people in the seen and the unseen side of life. Because take a moment with me, people, and then I'm going to turn it over to Sue, who's going to bring us home. We're going to take a moment to just look at this. Social injustice, adversity, tragedy, so much of it is caused by fear and ignorance. People, I heard that. Yeah, people who are afraid and ignorant of their true nature and the true nature of others. That, to me, seems to be the cause behind much of social injustice, fear and ignorance. If we are to look at the opposite of fear and ignorance, what is it? The opposite of fear is love, and the opposite of ignorance is truth. Fear, the opposite of fear is love, the opposite of ignorance is truth. And so we hold the vision for love and truth. But it's not enough to hold the vision. We must circulate it. We must live as if love and truth are true. And one of the ways that we do that is through all of the kindness acts that we promote, through all of this stuff that we're doing here with the hearts, through all of the use of multiple currencies, through all of the bringing in things for Step Up Ventura and for our homeless brothers and sisters who are around this center, through all of the prayer and the love and the fellowship and the community that we create here to lift each other up, to help each other remember that this is what we are here to do. We are here to use the currency of reconciliation, which is beyond opposites. Thank you, Vicki. We are here to use that currency of reconciliation to move past the appearance of fear and the appearance of ignorance that gets us so messed up, and to move into that place of love and truth and hold the spaciousness for that to emerge in our personal lives, in our families, in our homes, and ultimately in our world. That is the work that we are about. And if that's not progressive, if that's not radical, that is more radical than radical. Hardly anybody else is doing this. And we get to be the people who are giving birth to this beautiful, beautiful vision of divine reconciliation given through our willingness to move from miracle to miracle by engaging multiple forms of currency and spending them wastefully, knowing that no act is too small, and trusting the ripples, and knowing that good is here for everyone. So with that in heart and mind and being, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Sue, who's going to tell us how these principles worked in her life. There you go, my love. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Bonnie. My mom is 92 years old. She, like a lot of women of her era, lived a life that was focused on her home and her family and her friends. She wasn't out there in the world very much. In fact, she only worked outside the home at 2 jobs, one of which lasted 2 days. She was a waitress at a Skid Row Greyhound Station Cafe, and the clientele didn't exactly agree with her, so she only lasted 2 days at that. And then she was a Western Union operator between the time that my father went to World War II and he came home, and they got married soon after that. So if you asked her if she had influence in the world, she probably would have said, I can't even influence my own children. I don't think that I had much influence in this life. And one of the great joys of my life is that when I moved back to Ventura in 2002, I got to spend more time with my folks as an adult. And for a while, I even got to see them every day, twice a day, when I went to their home before work and then after work. One day I came home and she said, the weirdest thing happened to me today. I got a phone call. This woman called me and I answered the phone and the woman said, Pauline, this is Leela. Do you remember me? And my mom said, well, my memory isn't exactly what it used to be, but I'm sorry, I don't remember Leela. And Leela said, well, we were in junior high school together. And I finally found a way to contact you. And all these years, I have been wanting to get in touch with you because in school, I wasn't popular. I was a poor child. I didn't have nice clothes. I was abused. I would often come to school dirty, and people weren't very nice to me. My family wasn't nice to me, but you were nice to me. You were so kind that you gave me a kind of confidence and hope that somebody could care for me, that somebody could love me. And that changed my life. And all these years, I've wanted to tell you that. 75 years, this woman had carried my mom in her heart with her. And so if you ever doubt that the things you do make a difference, my mom didn't go out of her way. She didn't invent a program or some big charity. She just was the person she is, which is a kind, lovely person. And she had that kind of effect on this woman. And I know that everybody here is having that kind of effect on other people too.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you. It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. Yes. So, speaking for Sue, the apple doesn't fall very far from the tree, does it? Yeah, it's beautiful soul. One more thing, and then we'll close up. Another way to look at this idea of multiple forms of currency is seeing opportunities to serve everywhere, and that means seeing through the eyes of love. When we were doing the Train the Trainer thing for the heart sewing fiasco, event that's going to be happening on Good Friday, I took pictures, and if you go on Facebook, on our group Facebook page, you'll see a picture of Chris Kimbler. And, whenever I talk about him in church, I get like, I am so blessed in the key of high Q, so brace yourselves, right? But Chris Kimbler made a very powerful statement without knowing it. In the picture, in the picture that we took, Chris Kimbler is standing there like this. And that's what I want for all of you. Not literally, but metaphorically. If you are able to see through the eyes of love, nothing can stop you. You will find so many beautiful opportunities to serve all of the infinite currencies that you carry within you right now. You don't have to do anything extra, like Sue said. You just have to circulate those currencies that you already have, and then your life, too, will go from miracle to miracle. I bless you. I love you. I believe in you. Let us do the energy of clicking our fingers so I can go right into the prayer. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, can we have it in high Q? Okay, all right. And so we turn within and absolutely trust and know. We trust and know that there is this powerful, powerful life force that we call God, that we call life, that we call love, and that we are here as one with that life force. How wonderful it is to know that so deeply, to have faith in that, to have knowing beyond faith, and to have perfect trust in the nature of this divine force that is love, that is ultimate, absolute reality. And so I breathe in and I breathe out, and I become, again, aware once again of how this reality is who I am and how this reality is who we are, that we truly are all of this, and that we are in all of this together, that there is this beautiful interconnection that we make visible through our spiritual work together. And so in this spirit of interconnection, in this spirit of oneness and wholeness and divine connection with the all that is, I know that our lives have been blessed here today by this spiritual message. I know that each of us moves into a place of deeper realization of all of the currencies that we carry with us, whether it is money or time or currency or listening or appreciation or just being ourselves, being a light of service unto others, that this expands and grows and moves through us in beautiful and mystical ways that bless our lives, but also bless those that we touch and bless beyond that, because the ripples go on and on and on and on into infinity, and then they circulate back to us so that we might ripple again. And so I am so grateful for this truth, so grateful for this powerful message, so grateful for this beautiful, beautiful incarnation known as the Ventura the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living, known as this beautiful community of souls that are here to do the work of love. I'm so grateful. I bless the spiritual center. I bless all paths to God. I bless temples, churches, synagogues, mosques, ashrams, all of the above and so much more. And with a heart that is so filled with blessedness, I say thank you, Spirit, thank you, God, and I release these words into the divine mystery, and together we say, and so it is. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all.
I'm planting seeds on the ground, watering them with my sweat and tears. I've been scattering them all around. I guess that's what I'm supposed to do with my years. Funny thing is, I may know what I've planted, but never what will show. It always seems to be a perfect mystery. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more. Sometimes I still like to pretend I know what the harvest will be, but I always find out in the end it was never really up to me. Funny thing is, when I just do my work and simply trust, it always seems that life is looking out for me. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more. And I am only one of billions of seeds. When all is said and done, I just do what's mine to do and let it be. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, Whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail. What's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, planting seeds. I am planting seeds, nothing more.